Time zones are a pain to deal with. If you've ever had to deal with them before, you know that really well. Pandas 3 isn't changing the behavior of time zones, but it is changing how date times with time zones are represented behind the scenes, and that might change your code a little bit, or at least the way that it works. And in this video, I'm going to introduce you to how Pandas 2 does things, and then what we can expect when Pandas 3 comes out in the very near future. So in this is a Pandas 2 Marimo notebook. I've loaded Marimo, I've loaded Pandas, and I'm going to load for starters July 2025 taxi information from New York City. You can see it's in a Parquet file. I'm just going to load up 5 different columns here. And so I get, sure enough, a data frame with 5 columns, and you can see that the date time information here is stored in a datetime 64 with microseconds, datetime 64 with microseconds, both for pickup date time and for drop off date time. Okay, that makes sense. This data here, which came in a binary format from a Parquet file, this is what we call time zone naive. It does not have a time zone attached to it. It's sort of like if you look at a clock on the wall and it tells you what time it is, you have to know what time zone you're in, and you have to know if there was or was not daylight savings at the time that you are looking at that clock. But how is it actually stored behind the scenes? And we've seen this in a previous video. If I now say df.info, we will see all of our columns here. And you can see that sure enough, pickup date time and drop off date time are stored as datetime 64s. These are in NumPy. They are stored that way to microsecond accuracy. And total, we're using 148 megabytes. Okay, so far so good. But what if I want to introduce time zones here? What if I say, look, it's very nice for me to be able to say, well, these are New York taxis and thus it should be Eastern time. But what if I actually want to go and change that? Tag it with the Eastern time. Well, I can do that. And I'm going to do that here temporarily because it just makes things way, way easier. And I'm going to go here. I'm going to say df.assign. I love using the assign method and method chaining like this. I'm going to say here tpep pickup date time equals, and I'll say lambda df underscore of tep pickup date time. And what am I going to do to it? Well, I'm going to say here .dt, because that's how I can get the date time accessor. And then I'm going to invoke a method on it. I'm going to invoke the tz localize method. I'm going to say US Eastern. And what tz localize does is it takes a naive time zone and says, hey, I'm going to attach a particular time zone to you. And I can actually assign 2 different things in the same assign method. So I'm going to say here tpep pickup date time and tpep drop off date time. Better change it for here as well. Otherwise things will be very, very bad. Drop off date time. So I now have, I've reassigned these to be date time with time zones. And now let's just take a look at what we get. And you can see after doing the assignments, look at these columns. Now it doesn't just say in the square brackets microseconds, it says microseconds, comma, US Eastern. In other words, these date times have had a time zone attached to them. And if I then say on all this .info, let's see what we get. And sure enough, we're going to get info about it, and it takes up 148.7 megabytes. So far, so good. And you can see that the date times here, they include the time zones on them. We see here what we saw at the top of the Marimo notebook columns there. So this is great. And if I really want to go farther and I want to just like grab, let's do this once again. I'm going to grab one of those columns. I'm going to say here tpep pickup date time. I'm just going to grab that one column. After I do that, I can say .dt, .tz, and I can grab that time zone, and we see here how it is represented. All this is fine and great, but it was also non-standard because the Python world has moved toward a standardized implementation of time zones. You can see here in the Python standard library, we now have a zoneinfo module, and the zoneinfo module comes with Python and it represents time zones. And this is the way that we want to work with things. This was added, as you can see, in the documentation version 3.9, which was already a few years ago, 5-6 years ago as of this recording. So how are things different in Pandas 3? Well, I can once again load exactly the same data, and you won't be surprised to see that it looks exactly the same. We once again have time zone 64 with microseconds. But when I then look at info, and info is actually, didn't mean to do that. I'll just try it again. If I say df info then in Pandas 3, it's actually going to give me the same thing. Right? So my daytime, microseconds, and all that. But here's the cool thing. If I do this assign business, I'm copying from Pandas 2, I'm putting in Pandas 3, what am I going to see? And the answer is a different set of D types. First of all, you can see that takes way longer to run. And that's because whereas regular datetime information is stored in regular old, like standard NumPy datetime 64s, anything with a time zone is actually stored using PyArrow. This is similar to strings where PyArrow is being used behind the scenes. And you can see here that it looks different. It says US Eastern, but let's actually do what I did before then. All right, I'm going to grab here tpep pickup date time .dt.tz, and you're going to see, it will take a few seconds here, but you're going to see that it comes out with a different output, and that different output represents the fact that it is indeed stored behind the scenes differently. This should not affect your calculations. It should give you exactly the same results. But you can see here it says zoneinfo equals US Eastern, proof that we are using zoneinfo from the standard library. Okay, so we've got our time zone information, and I told you that the calculations are going to be the same. It'll just kind of look a little different. But if we've already got this time zone information here, what can we do with it? What are some interesting things? By the way, just take a look here. Let me just show you. The actual, the size is actually not going to be different either. Here it's 148.7. Here it's 148.7. So actually we're doing fine, but if we change the time zones, that's a different story altogether. So I'm going to run info here in Pandas 3. And if I go back to Pandas 2, I do the assignment. Let's see what happens here. Oops, let's just do it here. And if I do here, so you'll see in Pandas 2, after conversion, it's 148.7. It's exactly the same size as before. But if I go to Pandas 3, well, here we go. Actually, it's 148.7. I thought it was going to be different. What do you know? So sue me. All right. What are some other things we can do with time zones if we've already got them? And this is where things get a little wacky and interesting. So I'm going to grab this again. I'm going to do the whole assign business, but then I am going to find out where are there trips that ended before they started, right? So if I say .lock lambda, and I'll say here lambda df underscore of tpep pickup, so it should be drop off date time is less than df of tpep pickup date time. In other words, where were people dropped off before they were picked up? Now that's a pretty neat trick, right? And it should not happen very often. And indeed, in July of 2025 in New York, it happened exactly once. Okay, right, that's kind of interesting. And if I run this here, once again, it's going to take a few seconds, so I'm going to ignore this. But basically, it should give me exactly the same responses. And sure enough, if we wait just a few more seconds here, here we go. It will give me the same response. The question is, what happens when we have actual data that depends on a time zone? So I'm for a moment going to get rid of all this. I'm going to just comment it out. And then I'm going to go back up to the top of my Remo notebook and I'm going to load a different file, not the one from July, but the one from November. And this is where things are going to go totally off the rails. All right. So first of all, I load it up. Okay, it loads up just fine. And my info, okay, it's slightly different size. And then, oh my God, and then it blows up on me. It blows up on me when I run TZ localize. In other words, I want to take a naive time zone and I want to turn it in, I want to take a lack of time zone, naive date time, and turn to one with a time zone. And remember, November is where the North America falls back. It moves the time back by 1 hour. So at 2 a.m., it moves back to 1 a.m., meaning there is twice 1 a.m. on the same day. So it says ambiguous time. I don't know. Is this the first 1 a.m. or is this the second 1 a.m.? What do you want me to do with it? And so it says I cannot infer DST. Try using the ambiguous argument. All right, and the ambiguous argument, as you can see here from the documentation for TZ localize, you can say ambiguous equals, and by default it's raise, which is exactly what happened here. And raise means raise an exception. Say, I don't know what to do. But there are a few other options that we can try. And one of them is infer. Infer will attempt to infer fall DST transaction hours based on order. In other words, this is a known problem. It's a known problem that you might have something that looks earlier but is actually later. So what if I do that? What if I say here, I'll say here, ambiguous equals infer. And then here also say ambiguous equals infer. What will happen then? And the answer is still bad news. Right? It's still going to give me this trouble. And why? Why is it doing it? I thought infer was supposed to solve this. And infer basically says, I'm going to take it chronologically and deal with it chronologically. But wait a second, these taxi rides are totally mixed up. So basically, maybe I have to sort them. So I can say here, dot sort values of, and I'll even say tpep pickup date time, comma, tpep drop off, date time. And if I do that, watch what I get then. Oh, it's really great. Great error message. There are 8,247 DST switches when there should be only one. In other words, it's saying, you told me, or I expected to be sorted in chronological order. And then I can do the whole infer thing. But I can't do that because it's going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I cannot figure out whether you want me to be on standard time or on daylight time. And I'm throwing up my hands in disgust and despair. By the way, exactly the same thing will happen in Pandas 3, right? This is not a Pandas 2 problem. That if I switch to 11, right? So I'm going to get the stuff from there from November. And here we're going to get, if I try to localize, right? Value error, cannot do it. What if I do this here? I'm just going to try to stop all this stuff here. Let's try to stop all these guys from running because they're all going to fail. And then I can replace it with exactly what I did before, right? Where did it just go? I just pasted it. Or I thought I pasted it. Oh, I got the stack trace. I actually wanted the code. There we go. So now I'm going to run this. I'm going to do the inference. It's going to give me exactly the same problem, right? It's going to try to do the the assigning business, and then it's just going to like blow up on me. So basically, here we go. Exactly the same thing. So it's not as if Pandas 3 is breaking anything. Some of these things are just kind of inherently hard to deal with. And if you ever have this kind of naive data without time zone information that goes across a time zone border, you have no good choices. You have a lot of bad choices to choose from. Maybe even just cutting out that data, maybe doing a separate series and rejoining it together. I don't know. It's kind of a mess. But you should know that at least in Pandas 3, it's going to be using the standard zoneinfo module that you can then use to compare with other values in Python and other programs that use Python time zones. Whew. Okay, I hope that was interesting and useful to you. I hope it didn't waste your time, but if I did, then maybe watch this in November when you fall back, and then you will not have lost anything. More dumb jokes and perhaps Pandas insights coming to you soon. Thanks for watching. Let me know where you have questions and problems about Python and Pandas, and I'll be back real soon with lots more videos about Python and Pandas and everything in between. Thanks so much for watching.